into a prude the instant we think about going on air. It's
Okay.
amazing.
You've joined us just in time for Margaret to swear at me.
Brooke, who normally swears like an Australian, suddenly instantly turns into a girl guide as soon as we go on air and
it's more of a Girl
expresses
Scout.
more a Girl Scout, yes, and expresses deep shock,
You
horror,
see, he was
and
asking
amazement.
for cookies earlier, wasn't he?
That's right.
There
Yes,
you
he
are.
was
Girl
asking for
Scout with
cookies.
cookies.
He's a Girl Scout with cookies and no swearing.
Well, not with cookies, sadly. But
Yeah, not with cookies, as it turns out.
So I'm assuming we're actually broadcasting, but
he's hoping not
Well, you
to.
pushed the button, so...
I did push the button, but there's nothing actually happening on the screen. So
So this great opening is just down the toilet. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Well, I just got a thing on my phone to say that Stickmen is live.
okay, so
So,
so hopefully that
It's very
that good
advanced. I
opening
can
was
see
not
this is
wasted.
really thought out.
yeah.
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 Well, it's well rehearsed.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of time sorting it out ahead of time.
Oh, now there's ads, yay.
Well, that's usually what happens.
You get
Whatever.
ads.
But yeah, yep.
Yes,
But we're
ads
not getting
play
anything on.
randomly.
So you could be in the middle of a sentence.
You
and-
could. We just were, in fact, and there it happened. Yeah, boom. But I'm not sure that everybody's seeing the same ad at the same time.
I'm
so
not sure why I'm not seeing us, but no.
I can
How
see
do
us here on my phone.
How do I get rid of that banner? Oh, there we are. That's us. We are. We are in
What
fact
have you
live.
done to that banner?
So I have no idea. How do you get rid of it?
I don't know.
No idea.
There
we go. Okay.
And we're back.
So, let me start that introduction again
Right.
without Margaret swearing at me.
Oh, fuck off.
Hi, this is Brook Margaret and our special guest today, Sam Ragnarsson. Brook and Margaret from Stickmen Media, and Sam, well, soon to be from a prestigious Viking sandwich shop.
Yes. Yep.
The Kiwi Viking.
Which we are looking forward to. The reason for having Sam on the show today is Sam actually spent some time at CCP and did. So you're a QA person, really, with EVE Online.
Yes. I think
So-
Online was the QA.
So Sam's got some heavy-duty experience in the games industry, so we thought it'd be fun to have him on and
and we'll
question him a
probably
bit.
have him on.
question him a bit about his time working with EVE Online.
Good.
All
Right
right.
then. So,
So-
how about your time on EVE Online there, Sam?
Very well prepped questions. I can hear that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're all over it.
No, I guess it was a really adventurous time being on CCP, being a CCP and working on EVE Online.
When did you begin?
So I started there in 2007, I think.
Yep.
It's quite a few years ago.
Oh, somebody's left the door open and the noise is coming in.
2007?
Yes, 2007. And basically I started first as just being a tester. They sort of trialed me. I remember I was brought into an interview and I was quite nervous. You know, I'd already had my initial interview, but there was the whole team, the QA team, all the testers. You know, it's like all gaming people, including you too, quite a weird crowd.
And now including you.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, they didn't really interview me a lot. They sort of made fun of me. And
Oh, so this is going to feel familiar then.
yes, exactly. Yeah. And then they basically just asked me, you know, if there was a bear and a baby on a train track, which one would I save? Now, I'm not going to reveal the answer, obviously, but I got hired. And
It's hardly fair not to reveal the answer once you put that out there.
well, there you are.
You know, so this is cruel.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's the point, isn't
Yes.
it? Yeah.
So anybody that wants to pay for the answer can get in touch. I'm sure that Twitch will have some contact details there.
Straight into the swear jar.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So I started there in basically being a tester, and I was one of the few people ever hired there, at least in the QA, that had never played the game. I had tried a couple of times when I went off for the interview, but it's a terribly, terribly complicated game, which is why it is awesome, I guess. You have to have Excel spreadsheets, and you have to read guidebooks and manuals, and you know, it's a real challenge. Most people give up. You know?
I can understand it. So it is one of those spreadsheet type games,
Yes.
isn't it?
But the people that sort of get over that hurdle and are self-managed, because the game doesn't really take you through much. You're just sort of thrown in the deep end, or where at this point I'm not sure. I haven't played it a lot since then. So you would be basically you have to self-manage and decide what to do. And I was like used to games that would just tell me do this and then do that. And when you're not good enough to do something, you have to do it again and again until you're able to do it. So I started trying to test the game and learning, and I was just no good at it. I was just crap. Sorry, Sir John.
No, straighten the sweater.
and,
Swearing's fine, Sam.
Yeah. So then I just started creating processes and doing what I'm really good at, which is sort of that management side of things, not managing people necessarily, but managing processes and making sure that you're checking off a list everything that needs to get done. And they basically stopped making me test it and started making me organize the tests instead. And I was doing that for about 2 years.
Okay.
Very cool.
So after having spent that time, do you actually get the EVE Online geeks coming up to you and asking you stuff about EVE Online, or
Yes, I do
or
still,
even
and
telling you stuff about
yeah,
EVE Online?
and I embarrass myself all the time. You know, we have a couple of people in this building here that are real EVE players, and you know, they come and talk to me and start talking about turrets and stuff that I don't know anything about, and then they start referencing big battles and start talking about famous players, and they expect me to know it all.
Not a clue.
So in that sense, you know, I'm not a true EVE player kind of thing, but being part of CCP, the company, was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. What's the good thing about CCP? I just
It's not a good thing. That may be a simplistic sort of a question.
Sam the
There's
Viking.
Sam the Viking.
Oh, do people see this presentation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they will see that on the background. So.
There we
There
are.
we are. Yeah.
Yep.
No, I guess the
Margaret's swear jar in the white bit.
it's pretty empty actually.
Yeah.
It is fucking empty. Nobody has stepped up, which is disappointing.
I think you're not swearing enough.
Wrong
I
audience.
think I may
well,
not be.
yes, you've given them enough prep. I really think if people want Margaret to swear, they should pay for it. To
Yeah.
Well, how about
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
You pay, I swear.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. The other way around.
Yeah.
throw the money in the jar.
There we go.
No, I think for me when I came, I had worked in the corporate world for, or corporate world, sort of the business end of things for many years, and all over the world really, and in a pretty dry environment. You know, if you've heard of SAP or
Yep.
sort of big what do you call them? Sort of heavy software that take 2 years and many $1 million to implement, and you have an army of people working on it. So that's what I had been doing, and a lot of people that clearly, you know, hated their life worked in those environments. You know, just like.
Is that a prerequisite if you hate
Yeah, pretty much. In
You
many
can't work on
cases, a
business
lot
software.
of really talented people, but a lot of them, like, you know, they didn't come to work because, you know, it was fun coming to work. It was more about like, I need this so I can go and watch Liverpool beat Manchester United, or, you know, whatever it was when I was in UK. So
Not like us coming to work and going, oh, there's a new zombie. Lincoln's doing a new zombie
Exactly.
today. Let's
so,
have a look at it.
So that was the first time when I came to the CCP. Everybody was there because they freaking loved it. You know, there was not in 24 hours. You know, there would be somebody working. You know, and I'm an early riser. I would be there at 6 a.m. or whatever sometimes, and I thought I'm the first one. You know, and then people sometimes hadn't gone home. You know, and it's not because they were made to. You know, the manager was rather like trying to like go home and rest, and people would basically work. You know, do the work, and then they would go and play, still on the same desktop. You know, they would have lunch break and play Team Fortress. You know, this is awesome. If you ever get the chance to play a game like Team Fortress with developers and testers. It's just you know, I've never enjoyed playing games as much as that, because every single person knew what they were doing. All of them were masters in their own craft, you know. You know, and you would just railroad over any teams out there and have so much fun in the meantime. So yeah, but what surprised me as well when I was there was you would have the best of everything. You would have 2-3 screens. You would have specialized keyboards and specialized mice. Chairs were like the best ever that I've ever seen. Free food and free, drinks. There will be something to celebrate every week. Beer drinking and Red Bull drinking or whatever it was,
So how does that work? Because we talk lots and lots about how scarcity kind of drives innovation. It sounds like that's sort of the opposite philosophy.
Well, I think there is a sort of switch from when you are a little company and you start. Then that's when you really need to just excel at being just in the garage, and they had taken that out. Eve Online or CCP started. I mean, Eve Online started as a spreadsheet. It started as an Excel
That's
spreadsheet.
amazing, isn't it? Really?
And it then grew from there. And they were living on noodles or whatever for years, and took a lot of chances and put their houses under it. And they didn't start from it took them a big journey, like about the core 10 guys and women that sort of started it. And even those guys, many of them had come from another venture that had gone absolutely bust, horribly bust actually, and left all of them bankrupt or something. You know what I mean? So you don't do something like Eve Online, I think, by just waking up one day. And
no.
I mean, some people do. I mean, but
it's that old story that every overnight sensation started 10 years ago, though, isn't it?
Yeah. So when you have that, when everybody in that core group or first 50 staff or whatever it is, they are fine with slugging it out. They are more invested in the company most of the time. They are there because they have taken out that pain anyway. But when you then have to hire 200 people, that you can't necessarily be paying top dollar either, because you're still a startup. You just successful startup, that still needs its cash flow and still needs its thing. And then you need to find new ways. And a lot of gaming companies know that to hold on to people or get people, you have to provide all of these benefits. You have to provide an environment. This is absolutely amazing to work in. Where you have kitchen with good food, and also, let's be honest about it, not everybody can take very good care of themselves because they're playing games and music all day long. So they have these mother hens, that would just, you would come in and there was this salad today. Eat your salad, whatever it was,
and then do the Red Bull at the weekend.
Yes, and they would do that, They would, and they would make sure that there was always healthy food around. There was loads of fruits and load of healthy biscuits and healthy snack food as well. And then that way they would really take care of you, and they would also take care of the social environment, so nobody was ever left out. It was almost compulsory to go to the after beer drinking and doing all that. And if somebody didn't, they would explore why that was. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's really cool. Really inclusive situation.
Yeah, at least when I was there. Obviously, since then, I know CCP has had quite a lot of challenges. They have grown too fast, and then too slow, and then too fast. And that sort of course, hits a lot of stuff if they're let go, and that can create, unhappiness. But in the end, if you're not making money, you can't keep staff.
This is true.
Yeah.
You can't give them.
So what's on your next slide, Sam?
I have no idea. Just check out. Yes, that's me.
Oh, look.
That's Sam.
Yeah.
Little Viking Sam.
No, this is I had moved down to the basement at my parents. Really gone for the whole teenage thing, and
I've actually got to move us out of the way of you there. So can I do that?
You're gonna mess it up. No,
it's okay. You can see Sam's face and you can see his computers. Oh, don't.
Don't worry.
You're actually clicking the wrong thing anyway.
I am?
Yes, that's the browser screen there that you're trying to manipulate.
Oh yeah.
I don't think you got much sleep last night.
I did not get much sleep last night.
Oh.
There we go. Look at that.
God.
There we are. So now everybody can see Sam.
God, what a relief.
Yeah, everyone's like, whoo.
Yeah, I actually quite like this picture because it has quite a few elements. First of all, you can see the heavy computer books in the background, which at that point I read, not anymore. And I was also quite fortunate that my mom got this computer, Victory VPC2, for her work, and then I got it after. And among my peers, nobody had this kind of computer. They mostly had this gaming computer, what they were called. What were they called? Common, you know. I don't know. Armstrong. No, what was that? Anyway, don't know. These sort of computer. It was mostly about gaming anyway.
Okay.
Instead of this was mostly about word processing or whatever it was. But also, you know, I had my red. What do you call those?
Braces?
Suspenders, yeah.
Suspenders, braces, yeah.
Yeah.
And I had become known. First, I was wearing a leather tie. You know.
Okay.
And everybody in school would tease me about that. That one day I came in with that, so I wore that leather tie for the rest of the school year.
Oh, excellent.
You know.
So you didn't change it up and go for the fish or the piano?
No. Just that was
See,
it.
we were talking before about what contrary meant.
Yes.
That's it.
That's a contrary. Yeah.
That's contrary.
So it was similar with these. They made fun of these or something, or laughed at it, and I said, "Well, fine. I'm going to wear this for the rest of the school
good
year."
for you.
Yeah.
Nice.
I know how to win friends and influence people. That's
Yeah, clearly.
So this was a submarine game, and God, I spent a lot of time on this computer, but mostly because I like creating the reports out of it, which shows you I'm maybe not much of a gamer after all. We would, me and my friend would create from one of the first one that you could create cover pages. So you would make a report for school. So I'm 12 years old, and I'm making reports typed with a cover report that had banners.
Oh,
This
that's
is line printer.
awesome.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the teacher would look at it and was like, "How do you do that?" You know, it's easy. You know.
Fantastic.
So yeah, of course everybody liked that. Yeah.
Of course they did.
So, what comes next?
It's a Voyage of Discovery, this slideshow.
Then I'm just showing off that.
So this is what it takes to get into CCP.
No, I think CCP is probably somewhere in the middle there.
Was it?
Okay. So interesting CV. So you had a newspaper round. A farmhand.
Yeah, I was on a farm about 4 or 5 summers in Iceland. And then I stopped going to the farm. Iceland, for the world that doesn't know Iceland, at least used to have 2 or 3 months holiday during summer.
Okay.
Because basically you have like 9 months of darkness in Iceland, and then you have like 3 months of sunlight, you know. So instead
Make
of
the most of it.
like here in New Zealand, kids seem to be having school holidays every other week, it seems. So it breaks up the whole
Bizarre.
year into just weird holidays.
Yeah.
There it's basically a chunk.
Yeah.
And what parents do, they get rid of the kids obviously to go to some sort of a go work on a farm or do something. When I was younger,
Yeah.
now of course kids are not allowed to work or anything. But so from like 12 years old, I went like 2 months away to work on a farm.
Oh, wow.
And did that every
Hardcore.
summer after that. And then I was working as a supermarket, and several different things there.
So there's
for
quite
many
a
years.
steep climb, isn't there?
I loved working in a video store.
I think it's
I always
probably
wanted to start my own video store. That was my other dream.
Really?
I guess that's
It's
pretty much
probably
dead.
over.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen now. I
No,
don't
I
think
don't
so.
think so.
Oh, maybe give it 10, 20 years. It'll be all retro. Everybody will want it.
Retro, yeah. So it's probably not a good idea to have kids working on farms and things these days, since you're not allowed to belt them and stuff, to control.
Yeah, because
Oh
that's
my
really
God.
worked.
I do like the idea of you as a security guard and a bouncer. I think that's I can actually see that.
You can, or are you making fun of me now?
No, well I kind of am, but yes, I
Yeah.
really can.
I was actually quite good at that.
Yes, I'm guessing you would be.
Yeah.
Could you spot the troublemakers, Sam?
Or did it even matter?
No, you have to just be able to talk people down. I think that's the. It's about being able to talk to the drunk people and just being part of it. They think you were just one of the drunk fellow with them.
Different style to my dad's.
Yes, your
Well,
dad.
we heard that. Yeah.
You want to tell that story briefly? Oh, I do. Fucking hilarious. So, Brooke's father in a bar in Australia, Western rural Australia.
Yeah.
He was not paid to be a bouncer, but
Yeah.
he was often asked to solve
He was
little
handy.
problems.
Yes.
He was handy, we should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good to have.
And there was a guy giving trouble,
Yes.
a lot of trouble.
I don't want to tell this story. My family is listening.
It's brilliant.
They're all out there. Yeah.
Go on.
All right. So the bartender was having problems with this guy that was getting very belligerent. And he said, Ron, take him out. So Dad dropped him to the floor.
Yeah.
The bartender said, I just meant take him outside.
Yeah. Take him out. Yep.
Gave him a poke in the beak, he wouldn't forget.
Yes, he called it. Yeah. A substantial poke in the beak.
Right then. Anyway, and we're back.
Yeah.
So you've lived a few places, obviously.
Yes, as well. I think, I've had to try everything. It's kind of silly. If you are a young person listening to this and you actually know what you want to do, you don't know how maybe lucky you are. But it's quite exciting after the fact. Like, I love my careers, variation in my careers and everything now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
wouldn't change a thing.
No.
But it's been pretty rough at times. And, you know.
I've done some of that.
Yeah.
I've been in the farmhand. I've worked in a supermarket and a bakery.
There you are.
I didn't do video store clerk. I haven't been a waiter or a bartender. What did you do at the theatre?
I was the stage hand, or whatever you call it. So
Okay.
you would set up the stage and before, and then during the play you would be changing it
Yeah.
around or
Changing props and so on.
I've been the salesman. I missed security guard and bouncer. I didn't do either of those. Office manager, yes. Project manager, yes. Fisherman, yes.
oh, this is
Not in the
interesting.
same order, but
No, this is not in the right order either. I think it was more in the order of me remembering it, to be honest. But the fisherman was interesting. I mean, and I'm proud of that actually. I went when I was 30, I don't know, 33, something like that. I came back to Iceland after being very impressive team leader, SAP R3 team leader. You know, I had lots of people under my command, and I had been a project manager for multi-million-dollar projects, and I came back to Iceland, and I thought, well, you know, pretty hot shot me. Eh? Everybody should want to hire me, and all the Icelandic people, they looked at me and asked me for my university degree. And I was like, no, I don't really have one. Do I need one?
and you do mean all the Icelandic people because there's only like
This is like
60
six
or
of them.
70.
It's the same amount as Christ, just, you know, we are about 340,000 now, I think, in Iceland.
Woo!
But yes, so
Sure.
basically I had the option of going back to, you know, entry-level positions somewhere. Or trying something else, and I decided to go be a fisherman because it was apparently very well paid. And I sort of thought, as an Icelander, I've been a farmer, you know. Now I need to be a
Go
fisherman.
back to the roots again. Cool.
And I did that for 9 months and didn't stick to it because it's dangerous and it's actually badly paid today. Used to be very well paid.
Yeah. I was persuaded by the guy that was to later become my brother-in-law that I should try it while I was waiting to start university. So
Yeah.
sort of finished high school in like October and November whenever the exams were, and waiting to start university in like February. So he convinced me to have a go, but he's a mean bastard. And one of the things he told me before, I was a bit worried. I was a bit concerned. I went to him. I said, "Look, I've never actually been on a boat, so I don't know if I'm going to get seasick or anything." And he said, "Oh no," he said, "you don't have to worry about that." He said, "If you think you're going to be seasick, if you think you're feeling a bit ill, just think of a bacon and egg sandwich and you'll feel right as rain in no time." So I was a bit foolish and I believed this, but of course he's just being a mean bastard. So we get out to sea, and we're left in the early hours of the morning, and actually not too calm. It's a bit sloppy and all the rest of it. But I'm absolutely fine. I don't even think about being seasick while we're out there, and we pull the nets and we turn around and we're coming back home. And I started to feel a little bit hungry. And, oh no, I actually thought to myself, hey, I haven't actually thought about being seasick. So I instantly thought of the bacon and egg sandwich, and I got hungry. So I licked my lips, and the skipper happened to be looking at me at that time, and he said, "Are you okay?" And I said, yeah, I was just thinking of a bacon and egg sandwich. And he went straight over the side. So clearly I did better than the guy that was there all the time.
Yes, that's actually quite common. Do you know that? Fishermen that every time they go out, they're sick. Always for the
fun.
first 5 hours, maybe even a day. You know.
Gosh, something to look forward to.
Yeah. Wouldn't have worked for us. We only went out for the day. We were like out for like 6 or 7 hours and then coming back. So, yeah.
So perhaps we should steer slightly more towards
Sam's Sam's career instead of mine.
Yeah,
No, it's fine. It's fine. I don't know. What do you want to know?
All right. What is
let's
on the
see,
next slide?
let's go on this voyage of discovery with your next slide.
Right, I'm doing weird stuff again now.
I think you're
There we go. Aha! And there he is, husband and father.
Yes.
Here we are today. Well, or a few days ago.
Indeed.
A few weeks ago.
Yes. I'm a few kilos. This is a few kilos ago, actually.
A few
It
kilos
is
ago.
indeed.
All right. I'm just going to put our thing back where we were, so we're not.
Yeah, I guess
covering
after my career at CCP, I found my beautiful wife, and we got married. We tried living in Japan, and that's when I started my my entrepreneur sort of part of my life, where I started my first company. We moved to USA. I started my second and third company, and then we moved to China, where my wife is from, and we lived there. And I started a software development company there with Ryan, another guy from gaming from CCP. They came to China to try that with me, and then we got sick of traveling and sort of difficult to live in China. And then we picked Christchurch as going to be our place.
What made you pick Christchurch?
Well, at heart I'm a project manager, I guess, and my wife is pretty organized as well. So we did what any good project manager should do. We basically wrote down all of our top priorities in life. You know, what do we need now? What do we need for kids? You know, weather, economic, you know, the whole thing, opportunities. And and then we mapped that towards countries that we liked for one reason or another. And there was like Norway was very high on the list, Denmark, Canada, and Australia and New Zealand.
Australia. Sorry, shock and surprise.
From the Australian. Yeah.
No, yeah.
And but we in the end, all these other places beside Australia were simply too cold for my wife, which thinks actually Christchurch is pretty cold. And but Australia was just too hard to get in, and too many nasty critters. I've already lived there for 1.5 years before, and I don't really like waking up to a huntsman in the ceiling, and
No.
it's just not something I want to live with.
Yeah.
How's an Icelandic guy go learning Chinese, speaking Chinese?
Terrible.
Yeah, it's a bit
As
of
you
a
can,
clash.
I've been speaking English since I was about 17 years old, almost on a daily basis, and I still have an accent that everybody can say, you're definitely a Scandinavian or German or something.
Okay.
You know, so
I would have thought the sounds would be highly incompatible.
no, but so in Chinese, you have to really be careful. I mean, one story we often tell is that I used to, first time I visited Lillian's parents in China, I learned that you call basically your father-in-law father, or father-in-law to be a father, and I used to say Baba, and they would smirk, you know, but that's what they told me to call it, Baba. And then after a few days of that, my wife called me and says, hey, I think you need to fix the way you say it. And I said, what do you mean? He says, well, you know, when you say Baba, you need to say Baba. And I was like, sorry? You say Baba, but you should say Baba. Yes. So there is this fine, and I'm actually saying it, I think, more or less correct now, these two variations, so it's not even an exaggeration. But the thing was that when I said Baba, that means shit. When I say Baba, that means father.
Right.
All right? So if you're going to learn a language with a tone can basically be the difference between calling your father-in-law a father or a shit, you know, you get kind of nervous, right?
Yeah.
So I sort of like, okay, this is probably not going to be for me. You know?
Lost your bottle.
Yeah.
Yes. But we decided Christchurch. I mean, the earthquake had happened here. A little bit of a factor is that her brother lives here, has lived here for 10 years, but that was not a deciding factor because we didn't know if he was going to stay here or go somewhere else or whatever that was. But we came here really because we wanted to be part of something that is rebuilt, you know, and I believe I've done that. I mean, I became part of this epic building that we are in here at the moment, and for several years I've been helping with running that. I've been running startup weekends. I've invested in about 12 companies here. My wife has been running Chinese bilingual sort of workshops with parents, and so we are trying, you know, to be part of the community and help build something up.
Fantastic.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what else we've got. No, I didn't see anything change there. Aha.
And we're back.
We're back. Back to CCP.
Yes. Because you started on there.
We did. So you might want to click on the next slide because I'm guessing that there might be something about CCP games.
That was the trailer.
The trailer, well, we're not going to show the trailer.
No. But I recommend people go and search for, you know, EVE Online trailers and go like to 2008, 2009 and just see how, you know, really ahead they were in graphic terms.
Yeah.
And we already talked about the culture and the team a bit. And if you just click on the next one, let's just see what we were...
Taking it up.
Yeah, this goes to... I mean, they have always something to celebrate. And it's actually a great thing. I mean, I think everybody should do that. I'm going to do that now in my new business that I'm setting up.
It gives a lot of momentum, doesn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what it is. You can celebrate that the day is shorter than yesterday or longer than yesterday, you know, for all you care, you know. Or you can create sort of a cultural thing like they did. So with every release, you know, every major upgrade, which was about 2 a year, they would have huge party. They would have a huge party, and then they would also use the day to sort of team building kind of thing. So you would go and you would be shooting each other with paintball, or you would be doing something crazy, you know. But they never did it half-hearted, as you can see. I mean, just if you look at the blue picture there, you know, that was just a bar at the office.
Wow.
At the office.
It's impressive.
I mean, they just built the bar.
Why don't we have an office
decorated
bar?
it. I mean, it wasn't regularly, you know.
Yeah.
But they would go that extra mile. Always to make it look good, feel expensive, and often it was very expensive. They would also every 18 months, and I think on the next slide, I don't know. I'm going to break it. I don't know. You have like 6 windows here, you know. I have no idea which one I'm going to click on.
Don't fuck it up, Brook.
Yeah, this one. Every 18 months they would go
Camels
and invite everybody in the company, and remember at this point they're in Atlanta, they're in China, and they're in Iceland, and even with I think a couple of people in UK at that point. And it's about 300 people working for the company, and they invited them all to Morocco.
How cool.
And I think spouses came along for half a price or something if you wanted. You know, so it was really, really, really... So a lot of people there were...
Inclusive again.
Yes, very inclusive again. And...
Not easy to do that in New Zealand, is it? I mean, you can go to Rarotonga. Yeah. You wouldn't go to Morocco from here. It would cost you like gazillions. But
hey, Iceland is much more expensive to fly from than New Zealand, Mr.
Really?
Much more expensive.
Okay.
It's very expensive to fly from Iceland, you know, even more so than to Iceland. But anyway, it was not cheap. And yeah, I mean, this was the only one I joined, but I know they have been to Spain, they have been to many other places, you know.
That's amazing. So how long were you there for?
I think we were about 5 or 6 days.
Wow.
And
That's
there was
huge.
activities, I mean, hot air balloon, driving, hiking, you know, all available there. And
Amazing.
it was quite funny because they were they sent a team of people, like 3 or 4 people, over there first to the hotel, and they just told them that 300, at least 300 CCP employees were coming, and a lot of them were Icelanders. And as the only place to drink in Morocco is actually at the hotel, because there is no bars or anything, they said, make sure that you have enough alcohol, because and they were like dismissing it, like no. We have had all sorts of conventions and thousands of people, not just 300. We had 2,000 people in this hotel. Never run out of alcohol. Don't worry about it.
Not that day.
Friday evening, by 10. Every liquor of any, they probably had red wine and stuff, but every strong liquor and beer wiped out. Wiped out.
Ah.
There were naked people in the palm trees. There were parties in at least 4 or 5 rooms where, for some mysteries, they had found alcohol and there was just parties going on there. No police was called, but the hotel management was not very happy. Saturday night.
They would have been happier if they
Wiped
could have
out.
sold more alcohol, right? If they'd had alcohol,
Yeah.
they would have made more money.
Yeah.
They'd have felt happy.
Yeah. But they just had never had anything like it. And so 3 nights in a row, the bar was wiped.
But you guys had plenty of practice partying before, though, hadn't you? That was the
Yeah.
that was the
No,
trick.
no.
So what
But-
do Vikings party on? Well, apart from mead, of course.
Sorry?
What do Vikings actually drink for?
I think, just like anywhere else, I think just a lot of strong liquor.
That looks amazing.
All right. So what's so one of those, is that on a ship or something on the second side?
No, that's actually on the top floor of the CCP office in Iceland.
Oh, okay.
They have a big balcony there that looks
Oh,
over,
they're cranes
the
behind.
harbour. Yeah, this was around 2008, remember?
Yeah.
2008 financial thing. Everything was building in Iceland. We had about 200 of these bloody cranes, and then 6 months later the world went bankrupt. So
Yeah.
this was at the height of the boom, So that's one other way. Keep people really interested.
Okay.
Give them alcohol
So-
on holidays.
Yeah, I remember this was the. So obviously we are going through a presentation that I gave somewhere else and can't remember half of it. But what I was talking about there maybe was the challenges of like company like CCP that and every company, I'm sure you can find a lot of scholar papers about it. You go through certain stages, like going from 50 people to 100 people, whatever, like 15 people, 15 people in a company, and 20 people is a totally different kettle of fish.
Yeah.
And I mean, you guys are probably going to hit that. All of a sudden you have to hire a finance person. All of a sudden you have to, and every big company has that same things, just at a different level.
Yeah.
And like I say, I'm sure if you Google it or whatever, you're going to find where these heavy milestones are. And for CCP, when they went over 250, that was a huge challenge, because all of a sudden they needed to just communication had to change, how you're going to sustain the culture, how you're going to make everything keep being interesting, and so on.
So at what point did they hit 250?
I think that was about the time that I started. I think I was sort of around that time. I think when I started, there was about 200 people in the office in Iceland, and then they bought White Wolf in Atlanta, which was a publishing company. White Wolf card came in, I don't know.
Yeah, so it wasn't just that you were the straw that broke the camel's back.
Well, on the previous picture I was the straw that broke the camel's back, but yeah. No, and then what I'm pointing at there was, it was interesting that I took on being a team leader, basically supporting the QA manager.
Right.
And we had 4 testing teams. We had in Iceland we had about 10 or 12 people. In China we had probably the same. It was a little bit different there, because we only spoke really to one guy, but he had a team. Bing was his name. And in USA we had 2 or 3 people in testing, and then we had a outsourcing team
Hey,
in
good
India.
to see you, Sam. Good to see you.
You're on live.
You're live.
Oh, I am? Sorry.
This is Rob
Not at
live
all.
on live on our Twitch
Send
stream.
me a note about that link that you wanted to meet up with. So there you go.
Yes.
I'll drop out. Sorry to interrupt.
Not at
No
all.
worries.
Nice
Cheers,
to
Rob.
see you.
He's the real me.
Truly.
Yeah.
So there was quite a lot of challenges trying to make sure that everybody was testing what they should be testing and creating processes around that, and quite a lot of fun. And I don't know, what do you want to hear more about?
Well, I was just going to say, there's something magical about that 200 number, isn't there? There was when companies hit that 200. I read an article about, I think it's the people that make Gore-Tex, and they've got a rule about 200 people means you start another office. So if you go over that 200 people, no, that's you separate them. That's a separate division. Just because it's
There's like 200 people working here and one person working here.
well, presumably they split them up rather than just put that one guy. You know,
Really?
hello.
Wow, imagine.
Is there anybody else here? But something happens with communication when you're actually trying to deal with 200 people. So yeah, one can imagine when you sort of get to that 250 that you'd be breaking your systems, your communications, all the rest of it.
And they went up to about 600, I think, at one point. CCP.
Gosh.
Yeah.
And and there's another lesson there. And again, I'm sure you can find some articles online about this, about CCP, because they tried to go for. I mean, the vision was wonderful, which is another thing I should mention. But they were going for their online game, basically, which was this sort of multiplayer MMORPG, whatever you call it, game. And that was all about the Excel spreadsheet and whatever. You went into a battle and you had to set up your ship, right? And that would take you 2 hours, and then you would go into a 3-minute battle.
Yeah.
Not really my kettle of fish, but a lot of people love this. They're having exactly the right thing. So they were trying to create another game called Dust 514, which was basically a first-person shooter. And what they were trying to do, and they did, but it just didn't become successful, if I understand it correctly, was there you were on the planet, but the planets interacted with the other game. So when you did something in EVE Online, you could actually shoot the planet in Dust 514, which was a different game. So they sort of interlinked, but there was a different mechanics. I mean, in Dust 514, you were in vehicles and you're shooting, and you have a team, and it was much more sort of like, what are these games called? Battle games?
Battle Royale.
Battle Royale. Yep.
No, something like that. Where you basically have collect weapons or whatever it is. Sort of more towards that.
Yeah.
But it all linked together. But they were extending themselves too much, and then they were going into virtual reality, and that's still being pushed. And where you are flying the spaceships again in the same way. This is really exciting. I mean, if they would have pulled it off, or if they do pull it off, if you could play on the ground in one game, which is one game style, or the strategy game, or fly around in spaceships shooting.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I wanted to just mention with any lessons, that I took away from them was the vision. They had a very clear vision always, and they always communicated. And every release had a certain, this is what we're trying to achieve with this release.
Yeah.
And they would always, world domination was their tagline. Doesn't matter that the vision was crazy. That was it, like world domination, And then they would go for, when I started there, they were going for 500,000 people subscriber count. And I think at that point it was like 150,000 or something. And they set a date. And they got it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they were 1 month late or whatever, but they reached
Good enough, yeah.
They got there because everybody in the company was working towards that one goal.
So how did they communicate that vision to everybody though? Because that's a part of the team dynamic and the inclusion, and it's a cultural thing, isn't it? Because it's difficult to do. Well, you can't directly control anything.
I guess it's a little bit of a hooray, It's a little bit like, going on stage and shouting and all that. That's one part of it. But it's also just in the tagline and in the presentations, and so every time you would have a presentation for a patch or whatever, they would always start with, the world domination poster, whatever it was. It was always, and you would always be getting updates. Now we are up to this. So when the objective was to get the subscriber count up, you would get specific figures about that, not just like this is how close we are. It would be how many were dropped, how many new people, you know, what were the biggest complaints, how the support was going, how this, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
there was a whole plethora around that, and the explanation around like what are they doing. They would actually say this is what the marketing department is doing. This is what, you know, we have heard a lot of people want these features, and we think it will fit with our vision. And that's another thing actually as well. They have their own vision of the game. Never ever did CCP add a feature because they were trying to get more money.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Totally.
I mean it.
Yeah,
maybe it goes opposite to what I said, that everybody's working towards 500 subscribers, but it was never done on the cost of the vision for the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people quit EVE
So-
Online
Yeah.
because they would say, oh, you know, I want to paint my ship pink.
Yes, I was going to say, how do you
Yeah.
actually get a crew of 200 to actually buy in to that? And of course, some aren't, are they?
Well, a lot of
Inevitably
them
some
are
will get
working
fall
there
off.
because they already bought into it. If you think, you know, a
Yeah.
lot of people go there, apply for a job. There is FanFest. They just finished a FanFest now in Iceland, one of the biggest ones so far. You know, somebody, there was a whole wedding there. There was a whole, you know, just I've seen the photos now coming through my feed on Facebook. Just seems like crazy ass.
Yeah.
But a lot of those people then go and say, hey, are you looking for, you know, a new tester, a new developer, a new
Yeah.
graphic?
So there's stuff we should be learning now, because we've actually got, because I don't think we're actually setting targets for, or we're not setting targets for how many followers we'll get, how many, whatever, and we've got guys in the team are actually doing things like setting up our Steam accounts, setting up our Instagram, setting up, well, we've got Discord and stuff like that, but I guess everybody should probably have targets, and those targets should probably be reported on. We do it with other stuff. We do it with the software development. We report on that. We can track the hours, all the rest of it. But in marketing, we've never really sort of applied that same methodology, have we?
No.
And we really need to. This is the next step in the company, basically, is learning how
Definitely.
to market effectively.
Yes.
We want this game to sell big. It
Are
has
you
to
making
sell
a
big.
game?
Yes, after the light. You can try it after this.
Online. Yes.
Yeah.
So I keep giving them shit because, you know, I'm always asking, what do you guys do? And they're like, I thought they were making wheelchair software or something, you know, now they're doing games.
We did that too. We made wheelchair
yeah,
software.
This is the problem. We do a lot.
We
Yeah,
do a
do a
lot.
lot. Yeah. So, no, I mean, and another thing is also, I mean, especially for a company like, without me starting to mentor you too much, it's the why. Why are you guys running this thing in the studio? Why, you know, what are you trying to do? I mean, for CCP, it was world domination. And in that, while it's a ridiculous statement, everybody understood what it meant.
Yes,
They wanted to
absolutely.
create a game that everybody would know. They want to create something, and I think they achieved that to many, you know, maybe not everybody, but everybody that plays games in the last 10 years will know about EVE Online,
Yes.
whether they
Yeah.
played it or not, you know.
I'll
And
have
I
heard
think
of it.
that, and it's a little, you know, it's a little gaming company in Iceland that achieved that, you know, and they've millions and millions of dollars have gone through that company, sometimes successfully, sometimes not, you know,
Yeah.
but
No.
they did it. So
So
why
I
are you
guess-
creating your?
Yeah, we want to tell fucking great stories. I always think. Sorry, I took over your job. I swore there.
I'm so relieved to actually hear the normal.
But we do. We want to tell great stories. For me, games are interactive storytelling. Basically, you are actually in there as the hero, the villain, whatever, in the game, helping create the story that you're actually in, and the game developers help shape that story. You
Yeah, but why?
You're doing some of it. That's just what I want to do. I write. I like games. I like the storytelling aspect of games. I really
So
want to
write a
push that
sci-fi
stuff up.
story. Just write a book.
I have written a book.
Oh, there. See,
The game
I don't
is-
know this stuff.
The
you
game
know?
is based on that book.
See, there you are. You know, why don't I know
Yeah.
that? So we're
So we
going to
have a
have a
communi-
marketing 101 with
Yeah.
these people shortly.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we do.
that can
I
be
guess
another. That can be another live stream.
Yeah.
We really need a marketing mentor. We have no. I don't know. I've never been trained in marketing. I guess we've had one marketing employee really who was, you know, somebody who helped us shape the website. Well, they weren't even an employee; they were a contractor, and that was short-lived. So, yeah, we really need to get good at doing that marketing stuff.
I think you should, rephrase that to the camera and say, we've always been awesome about it, you just haven't heard about it.
There's a contradiction in terms.
It's been a very strategic direction of this company to
hide everything.
To develop in secret, so we can reveal the greatness at the other end of it.
I can tell you now that this is the culture that came over from Stickmen Studios, where we created this fantastic game called Dot Clock. It was an amazing game. People loved it. The people that could find it loved it, because we never ever advertised it, marketed it. We never did anything with it.
It was like a hidden cult somewhere.
We were lucky as all hell that Total Biscuit, one of the YouTube reviewers, picked it up and did What the Fuck is Dot Clock as a YouTube stream. And he loved it. He really got into it. Yeah. And so we suddenly had a huge number of sales off that. Yeah. But from our point of view, we did everything but bury it.
Well, it just goes to show, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes if you try and bury something, it kind of pops up and is successful to spite you, really.
Yeah. So, but yeah, well, I guess we've taken on that same marketing thing. We've never really placed marketing high enough on the on the strategic sort of, in our strategic planning or anything like that. So we've always known there are things we have to do. We have to get into the social media stuff. We have to, tweet something every now and then, push something every now and then. But we've never really had the full strategic understanding of how to market, how to actually get in front of people, how to build communities.
It's a hard job. It's actually community management in CCP, by the way, is amazing. I mean, that I didn't even know that role existed until I came there, and I actually there's 2 or 3 community managers that have moved on that I'm still friends with on Facebook, and seeing them go and carry on that thing in other companies. I wanted to go back to, just because I'm sure if anybody is watching that?
No,
Can you see that?
I
think a few people,
We've got a handful.
Yeah.
A handful?
We get people will watch. Yeah, most of our watches happen post stream. Yeah. So we have a lot of people watching.
I guess because it's the middle of the day for New Zealand, so all the ones in New Zealand probably watch when they go home.
So we've had
it's
a few
very good marketing ploy to do this exactly when nobody is there to watch it.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Well, we were hoping this would be international, and 1 o'clock was actually picked because of the times it sort of worked out around the globe when the Twitch audience is actually about. So
it's highest.
Yeah.
So you have the
We were
highest
told by
competition
Alex
and other
that
things to watch.
We should be doing it at 1 p.m. and 5 p.m.
Yeah.
And man, it was so stressful just doing 1 p.m. every day that we thought, okay, 5 p.m. is not going to work.
Well, I'm not going to talk about the boot.ini because that really has to be in person to talk about that. And but I was going to talk about the team dynamics. Because I just want to mention that because I mentioned earlier about the corporate environment, which I sort of grew up in my professional career and then came into the gaming. And the biggest difference for me was in the corporate environment, individuality is discouraged. Not on purpose. It's just sort of happens, right? And and people try to conform to whatever is happening in the environment, while in the gaming environment more, you sort of celebrate the weirdness, and I think good gaming developer or management, good management in gaming is people that know how to get the best out of quirky people, and know how to celebrate their quirkiness, or celebrate their maybe difficulties, because a lot of I know a lot of people in development in gaming don't do very well in social settings, or they don't but they're absolutely brilliant.
We're all Asperger's as fuck.
Yes. Trying to say no, but
trying to say it politely.
Yeah, but I'm saying that should be celebrated more than just in gaming. That should be everywhere, because that's great. But if you're creating a gaming company or running a gaming company, don't try to just get some star players in that sense. You know,
Yeah.
get the quirky ones because get the people that can't do an interview to save their lives. You know, people that like, find out what is their passion, and you might have on your hand the best people.
Yes, indeed.
And so that was just.
No, that's a really, really good point. That's fascinating.
Yeah, and the network friends. Yeah, I wanted to go to the next one, if you will. Oh,
That one.
I just want to. This was my good team. I'm even there, I think. Yeah.
Oh, paintballing.
Yes. We
Is
were
that you down
paintballing
the
that
front
day.
there looking like?
Yes. Hooray! Yeah. And the QA manager is at the back there with his hand raised. He was the manager of the team. And he has gone out on now and created his own startup, successful startup. But what I was going to say, you work in a company, any company, but especially in the gaming industry, I think, or any software development company, not necessarily gaming, but all of these people. This is just the QA department. I knew 200 people in CCP, right? And they have all the people that are not still there. There are a few still there, but all of them have now moved on to, other gaming companies or other ventures that are really exciting, and just knowing them first of all and seeing that progression, because this was a lot of young people that sort of were starting a career or whatever. And if you go to the next
I
slide,
see Mark Zuckerberg sneaked in on the left there.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
That one.
There. So currently, so this is always like 2 minutes after or something on the screen.
Well, just about 30 seconds after, so you'll see it change in a moment now. There you go. It's confusing, isn't it? If you watch yourself down there. It's
Yeah. No, what I was going to say is, now I have contacts in all of these companies. Not that I'm saying people should be exploited in the contacts. That's not my message. But it's just the world gets very small when all of a sudden you have people in all of these gaming companies or other, Just last night, somebody from Lego was in touch with me about a project because, I worked with them in CCP.
So cool.
And so anywhere you're working, make friends, But in the sense, like, so many people leave a company, walk out, and I know Facebook has changed this a little bit, but people should remember their circles where they and keep a
definitely.
track. If people are worth it,
And I guess the kind of culture at CCP makes that a fairly easy thing to do, doesn't it?
Yes.
If you're always included and you're always close and you're always working together, it's an easier thing to stay in touch.
Somebody
That's
said,
very cool.
"Oi, Sam."
Sorry?
Somebody said, "Oi, Sam" on the.
James Wild. Yes, James Wild. He is actually on the previous picture. He is.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Okay.
How
so
cool.
If you
Right.
go
Back.
back,
Yeah.
he should be there. There he is, James Wild, live producer, Riot Games. at the
Oh, there we
moment.
go.
Oh right. Yes, top right-hand corner there.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah.
So he's in Australia now. I
Hello
believe.
there, James.
So that just demonstrates how great it is to, keep-
Yeah.
We haven't worked together for 10 years, but we have been watching each other career.
And by the power of Twitter and Twitch.
It was actually quite funny. I was in Queenstown the other day, and he was flying in, I think. No, he had just left, I think, 2 hours before, or something like that. So we just crisscrossed, and we just saw on Facebook or something you're nearby or whatever, and it was just
wow.
like, he from Australia and I'm here,
Yep, that's
great.
cool.
It's
Well,
fantastic.
would have been cooler if you'd met, but
Yeah, well, he will come
Whatever.
and James Wild is definitely going to come here when I open up my Kiwi Viking.
Okay.
Because
Oh, cool.
he actually knew me probably working at Nonabitty, where I used to work part-time after my fisherman job and before I started CCP.
And that was a
So,
sandwich shop,
yeah.
right? That's where you. Oh, what's he say?
He said, just drop by, running into a meeting, busy man.
Just drop by to say hi.
Yeah,
Nice.
so fantastic.
Well, that's
See you
great.
later,
So-
James.
Yeah, so clearly somebody's watching the stream, Sam. It's not just you and us here.
There you are.
Right.
Yeah, so this is what
This
I'm
is
gonna
your
do.
new career move.
Yes, new and old. So as you can see on this wonderful old picture, I used to work in a place called Nonabitty in Iceland. And
Say what? Sorry? Say?
Nonabitty?
Okay.
Nonabitty.
Nonabitty? That's actually a Jóns bite. Like a bite.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
or Jón's food, and a short, well not short, for the name Jón in Iceland is Nonni, or like a nickname, Nonni.
Yeah,
No,
it's
no,
not really short,
or-
is it? But
yeah.
okay, cool.
Yeah. So it's Nonni's bite or Nonnabiti.
Right. Okay.
And when I was working there, after I gave up on my fisherman career, I came back to him because I worked there as a young boy. And CCP came there all the time. They would come there and they would hear about my career and I would be chatting to them. And it was them that in the end, like, you make great food, come and interview, and then we can maybe get free food from you. Or something, whatever the reason was,
Awesome.
and that's how I ended up in CCP. But now I'm basically, after having I've been working as a consultant here, IT and management consultant, since I came to New Zealand, and now I decided, because I'm making good money and in a comfortable position and living
To
a good
stop
life,
all that.
stop all that,
Yeah.
and do something different. So I'm opening up my own version of Nonnabiti with the good support of Nonnabiti, the original Nonnabiti, and calling it the Kiwi Viking.
Cool.
And we'll see how it is. We're currently doing the fit out. It's going to be very close to here. So
And we're
Yeah.
very, very excited.
yeah, I have people all around the world actually quite excited. I'm hoping that most of them will make it over here at some point. Try.
So we'll let you know when Sam actually opens the Kiwi Viking, and I'm sure he'll manage a discount if you mention this stream.
Yeah, or make you pay extra. I'm sure we could have like a gaming discount days. or
Yeah.
something, you know
That's
what I
a
mean?
good idea.
You know,
Yeah,
there is an idea there. It's
Yeah.
not quite
Yeah,
there
yeah.
yet, but
there's some marketing thing going on.
marketing
Wheels are
thing,
turning.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
wheels are turning.
Yeah.
Very good.
Very
And that's
nice.
just about us for the day. I think that's 2:00.
I think
2:01.
we should probably end with some. Part of our culture is international swearing. I think a little bit of Icelandic swearing would be
Oh, yes.
appropriate at this point.
Þetta náttúrulega verið helvíti erfitt viðtal. Djöfulsins anskotans hottentottar sem eru að tala við mann hérna.
Is it just like fuck you or something?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Rittur í raskat. Okay, let's hope no Icelanders are watching that.
You
Fantastic.
just tweeted all your friends, so they'll all be
Well,
watching.
yeah, most of the Icelandic ones watch. So. Well, some of the CCP actually.
So what did that actually mean there, Sam? Because
I'm not going to translate.
It sounded threatening,
Yes, very much.
but
so.
then Icelandic does sound
yeah,
vaguely
yeah,
threatening
yeah.
too. Could pretty much say anything.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Okay, well, thanks Sam for coming on today.
Thanks for swearing. Thanks for sharing.
Exactly,
Swearing
and
is sharing.
So Brook and Margaret and Sam signing off for today. We'll be back tomorrow, probably doing something a little more technical with After the Light, so that you can see what we've been up to over the last week or so. I think Lincoln's got some stuff he wants to show us. So we'll see you then. So bye for now.